At the cold edge of the world, a figure is chained to a mountain. Every morning an eagle comes and pecks at his liver, and every night, because he cannot die, his body knits itself whole again, and all of it, the chains, the eagle, the endless mornings, is the price of one gift he gave to human beings: fire. Before fire, people were the weakest creatures alive. No claws, no fur, freezing in the dark, hiding from everything that had teeth. Fire was warmth, and cooked food, and worked metal, and it was the light to hold back the night. It was the spark that turned shivering animals into builders, thinkers, and kings. Almost everything we became, we owed to the day we were handed fire. And the God who gave it to us knew exactly what it would cost him. He could see what was coming. He had seen this very mountain waiting for him, and he gave us fire anyway, for creatures who would never know his name, for you. This is Prometheus, and this is the story of how the world got fire. Prometheus was a Titan. The Titans were the first race of gods, the ones who ruled the world before Zeus and the Olympians ever existed. His name meant forethought, the one who sees what is coming. When the Titans went to war with young Zeus for the rule of the universe, Prometheus looked into the future, saw that Zeus would win, and quietly chose his side. When the war was over, Zeus gave Prometheus and his brother a task, to fill the empty earth with living beings. His brother was named Epimetheus, afterthought, the one who acts first and understands later. And the two names tell you everything that is about to go wrong. They shaped the creatures out of river clay, and they were given a great store of gifts to hand out: warm fur, sharp claws, speed, keen eyes, thick hides. Epimetheus, eager and careless, started handing them out at once. He gave the gifts to the animals, everyone, lavishly, without thinking ahead, until the store was empty. And then Prometheus finished shaping his finest creation. He had made it last, and made it carefully, in the very image of the gods. He had made man, and in those first days, man was all there was. There were no women in the world yet. The first woman would not be shaped for a long time still, and when she finally came, it would be by another hand entirely, for reasons no one could ever have guessed. But that is a story still ahead of us. He wanted to clothe his new creation, to arm it, to give it what it needed to survive, and found there was nothing left. The gifts were all gone. So man stood alone on the earth, naked, slow, soft-skinned, with no fur against the cold and no claws to defend with, the weakest thing in all creation. And Prometheus, who had made them, could not bear to watch them shiver. But there was one thing that could save them: fire. Fire was warmth in the cold, and safety in the dark, and the start of everything else. But fire belonged to the gods, and it stayed on Olympus, and Zeus meant to keep it there. Because Zeus understood something. Give these small, shivering creatures fire, and they would not stay small for long. Prometheus went to him and asked, plainly, for a little of it, just enough for the freezing things he had made. Zeus said no. Fire was for the gods alone. And Prometheus, who could see the future, already knew what it would cost to disobey. He knew about the mountain. He knew about the eagle. He had seen all of it, but he did it anyway. He climbed to Olympus, took a single glowing ember from the sacred hearth, and hid it inside a hollow fennel stalk. And he carried the fire down to earth and gave it to mankind, and told them never to let it die. And everything changed. The cold nights ended. The beasts that had hunted men now feared the light and kept their distance. Men learned to cook, and then to harden clay, and then to work metal. And something stranger happened, something Zeus had been right to fear. As men sat watching the smoke of their fires rise into the sky, their thoughts seemed to rise with it. They began to wonder. They began to ask why. They built, and they made, and they reached upward. Fire was never only fire. It was the spark of everything we would become. Zeus looked down and saw lights flickering across a world that was supposed to stay dark and small and grateful. And he understood at once what had been done and by whom. So Zeus's anger came down in two parts. One part was for mankind, a punishment aimed at the creatures who had dared to rise. But that is a different story, and it is coming soon in the episode on Pandora. The other part was for Prometheus, and for him, Zeus reserved something with no end. They took Prometheus to the Caucasus Mountains and chained him there in irons that could not be broken. And the eagle came, And the long, endless mornings began, the wound, the night, the healing, the eagle again, forever, because a god cannot die into rest. But the cold nights were over down below. The fires were still burning. That had always been worth more to him than his own peace. He hung there for a very long time. Ages passed. Empires of men rose and fell, all of them warmed by his gift, none of them knowing his name. And then, one day, a man came climbing the mountain. He was the strongest mortal who ever lived, a son of Zeus, and he was in the middle of his own long trials, crossing the Caucasus on a labor that had brought him to the edge of the world. His name was Heracles. He heard the groans coming off the rock, and he saw what had been done. He drew his bow and brought the eagle down out of the sky. He took the unbreakable chains in his bare hands and tore them apart. And Zeus, watching his son, was proud enough to let it happen. He let his son do it, so that the glory of Heracles would be greater than ever, and in freeing Prometheus, greater still. After all that time, Prometheus was free. The god of forethought had seen the whole price laid out in front of him, the mountain, the eagle, the endless mornings, and he had paid every bit of it for strangers who would never thank him, who would never even know he existed. Every fire that has ever been lit since is thanks to him. Every warm room, every forged tool, every thought that ever climbed upward with the smoke. We are what we are because one god looked at the cost and looked at us and decided we were worth it. But Zeus had not forgotten his other punishment, the one meant for us. The fire came with a shadow, and that shadow was about to arrive on Earth, wrapped as a gift in the shape of a woman called Pandora.
Subscribe.